This conference will now be recorded.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So we are on third chapter, text 14, what we going to see. Yeah. Are people able to hear me? Hare Krishna. Hello?
Yes.
Yes, Prabhuji.
Okay. I'm just putting on this headphone. So I was just wanting to confirm that you're able to hear me. Okay, so we are on text 14 now, of third chapter. Annad bhavanti bhutani parjanyad anna sambhavaha yajnad bhavati parjanyo yajnah karma samudbhavaha. All living bodies subsist on food grains which are produced from rains. Rains are produced by performance of yajna, sacrifice, and yajna is born of prescribed duties. Purport by Srila Prabhupada, Jai Srila Prabhupada. The Supreme Lord, who is known as the Yajna Purusha, or the personal beneficiary of all sacrifices, is the master of all the demigods who serve him as the different limbs of the body, serve the bodies of the whole. Demigods like Indra, Chandra, and Varuna are appointed officers who manage material affairs, and the Vedas direct sacrifices to satisfy these demigods so that they may be pleased to supply air, light, and water sufficiently to produce food grains. When Lord Krishna is worshipped, the demigods, who are different limbs of the Lord, are also automatically worshipped. Therefore, there is no separate need to worship the demigods. For this reason, the devotees of the Lord who are in Krishna consciousness offer food to Krishna and then eat, a process which nourishes the body spiritually. By such action, not only are past sinful reactions in the body vanquished, but the body becomes immunized to all contamination of material nature. When there is an epidemic disease, an antiseptic vaccine protects a person from the attack of such an epidemic. Similarly, food offered to Lord Vishnu and then taken by us makes us sufficiently resistant to material affection. And one who is accustomed to this practice is called a devotee of the Lord. Therefore, a person in Krishna consciousness who eats only food offered to Krishna can counteract all reactions of past material infections which are impediments to the progress of self-realization. On the other hand, one who does not do so continues to increase the volume of sinful action, and this prepares the next body to resemble hogs and dogs to suffer the resultant reactions of all sins. The material world is full of contaminations, and one who is immunized by accepting prasadam of the Lord, food offered to Vishnu, is saved from the attack, whereas one who does not do so becomes subjected to contamination. Food grains or vegetables are factually eatables. The human being eats different kinds of food grains, vegetables, fruits, etc., and the animals eat the refuse of the food grains and vegetables, grass, plants, etc. Human beings who are accustomed to eating meat and flesh must also depend on the production of vegetation in order to eat the animals. Therefore, ultimately, we have to depend on the production of the field, not on the production of big factories. The field production is due to sufficient rain from the sky, and such rains are controlled by demigods like Indra, Sun, Moon, etc. And they are all servants of the Lord. The Lord can be satisfied by sacrifices. Therefore, one who cannot perform them will find himself in scarcity. That is the law of nature. Yajna, specifically the Sangyatna Yajna prescribed for this age, must therefore be performed to save us at least from scarcity of food supply. Text 15. कर्म ब्रह्मोद्भवं विद्धि ब्रह्माक्षर समुद्भवम् तस्मात् सर्वगतं ब्रह्म नित्यं यज्ञे प्रतिष्ठितम्. Regulated activities are prescribed in the Vedas, and the Vedas are directly manifested from the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Consequently, the all-pervading transcendence is eternally situated in acts of sacrifice. Om Ajnanantimirandasya Jnananjanashalakayah Chakshurunmilitam Mena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stapitam Mena Bhutale Swayam Rupakada Mahyam Dadadi Swapadantikam Vandeham Sri Guru Sri Utapada Kamalam Sri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Sri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunatanvitantam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Sri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Sri Vishakanvitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Jaya Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gauravakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. So the last class we saw how last class was on offering of food and Ekadashi we discussed, but that was in connection with the text what we had before about what do you call this about offering of food, which was covered by the text. I think 12 or 13 it was covered, where it was covered in that where Krishna was saying that if the food is not offered to the Lord and it is taken, it's only we are eating only the sin. Similarly, if food is not offered to the devatas, then it's as good as we are thieves. So that was a thing that was covered. And in today's class, in this text 14, Krishna is talking about how all living beings are subsisting from grains and how the grains are produced, and for all these things the reason is the various devatas. So here we can see in this slide all living bodies, all embodied living bodies are here. They are subsisting on what? On food grains. That's what this particular verse said. And how are these food grains produced? Food grains are produced from rains. We all know this anyway. And rains are dependent upon what? Rains are dependent upon the performance of yajna. Again, we have to understand rains are dependent upon the mercy of the various devatas. Is there? The rains come only when the devatas are satisfied and they feel like giving us the rain, then they give the rains, because they are all under the control of various devatas. And how many devatas are there totally? 33 crores devatas are there. And all these various devatas control different activities in this universe. Is it not? That we saw, just like in companies, you have got different, or in a government, there are so many different departments. And so many different departments are controlled by so many different ministers. And under the ministers, there are so many chief secretaries there, assistant secretaries there, assistant chief secretary, then under secretary. So many important officials are there. Like all these various devatas are different officials. So when these officials, these devatas are satisfied, they give rains in abundance. And how do these devatas get sacrificed? By the performance of yajnas. When we do some sacrifices, they get sacrificed. And who has said that these sacrifices should be performed? This coming out of prescribed duties comes. And where has it been prescribed? It has been prescribed from the Vedas, in the Vedas. And from where does the Vedas come? Vedas are coming from the Supreme Lord. Pitamasya Jagato Mata Dita Data Pitamaha Vedyam Pavitram Omkara Riksam Ejur Evacha. He says that, is it not? So he says that he is the one who is giving the Vedas, all these various Vedas he is giving. That is one place he has said. And in another place also, he has got Vedaischa Sarvair Aham Eva Vedyaha. He says, Vedaischa Sarvair Aham Eva Vedyaha. I am to be known by the Vedas, he says. Vedanta Krit Vedavid Eva Chaham. So the purpose of performing different Vedas is also to know the Supreme Lord. He says. So if we perform the different sacrifices, the various yajna sacrifices we perform in order to please the various devatas, and if the various devatas are satisfied, they do lot of good things for us and make our life so much blissful in this material world, materially, not otherwise. Materially, they make it very comfortable for us. And what is the purpose it says? What does it say about that? The purpose of performing yajnas is to satisfy the various devatas. But then, if we know where these various devatas are situated, then it will make our life even easier. All these devatas are situated on the various parts of the Supreme Lord. When Krishna showed the Vishwarupa to Arjuna, Arjuna could see all the various devatas, including Brahma, Shiva, everybody on different parts of this body. So they are all part and parcel of the Supreme Lord. So instead of trying to satisfy each and every devata, totally 33 crores of devatas, the best thing for us to do would be simply satisfy the Supreme Lord. And the Supreme Lord gets satisfied simply by chanting the Hare Krishna mantra, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. This is the simplest way to satisfy the Supreme Lord in Kali Yuga. Kale dosha nidhe rajan, hasti eko mahan gunaha, Krishnasya kirtanadeva Krishnasya mukta sangha param bhaje. This is being told by Sukdev Goswami to Parikshit Maharaj in Srimad Bhagavatam, that Kaler dosha nidhe rajan. O Raja, O Maharaj, Kaler dosha nidhe rajan. Kali Yuga is an ocean of faults. He's not just saying full of faults. He says it's an ocean of faults. Kaler dosha nidhe rajan. Hasti eko mahan gunaha. But still there is one good quality in Kali Yuga. And what is that good quality he's talking of? What is it? What is that good quality? Hey, sorry. What is that good quality he's talking of? The good quality is that he says in Kali Yuga, although Kali Yuga is an ocean of faults, still the advantage is that there is one good quality here. And what is that good quality? He says the good quality is simply to chant the Hare Krishna Mahamantra. Kaler dosha nidhe rajan asti eko mahan guna kirtana deva Krishnasya mukta sangha param bhajet. Kirtana deva Krishnasya. That is, by chanting the Hare Krishna Mahamantra, one can be simply relieved from all the material miseries. Not only relieved from all the material miseries, but also can get liberated from this material world. I'm sorry, I had not put this, share the screen. That's why I missed it out. But anyway, I was talking to you about it. So that is what is prescribed. And then going to the 16th verse. Now, in 16th verse, it is going to say, Evaram pravatirtha chakram nanu vartayati hayaha agyur indriyaramo mogam partha sajivati. My dear Arjuna, one who does not follow in human life the cycle of sacrifice thus established by the Vedas certainly leads a life full of sin. Living only for the satisfaction of the senses, such a person lives in vain. So in 16th chapter, in 16th verse, In the purport, Krishna is, Prabhupada is explaining about it. So what does the verse say? My dear Arjuna, a person who does not follow this prescribed system of sacrifice certainly leads a life of sin. For a person delighting only in the senses lives in. Now we know in this material world how people work so hard, and there is also a saying that you work hard, really you will become successful. In some cases it happens, but in the majority of the cases it doesn't happen. Now that my building where I'm staying, it is about 21-storied building, and the painting work is going. The painters are just, the scaffolding is there, and they are just doing so much of repair work, whatever it was required. They did that. Chipping work had to be done. They did that. Then they did the painting work. They are doing it still. They are doing all those things. And see, just imagine how risky their life is. Full day in this hot May month, they are working. Very hot. And they're climbing up the scaffolding. With one hand, they're holding the bamboos. And with the other hand, they are painting or scraping, whatever they have to do there. Very hot. And in between, there was also rain. There was a cyclone. All these things. The bamboos, the bamboos are, they have also shaken up very badly by these winds. But still they are there. And because of the rains, the bamboos also become slippery. But in spite of that, these workers, they were working on that totally, completely all the day, throughout the day. And by evening, they become really dead tired. Just imagine how much hard labor they are doing. But the people who are staying inside in the various flats, they are not doing as hard a labor as these people are doing, where they're even risking their lives. But who is better off materially in this world? The people who are staying in this, who are the residents of this complex, they are better off than the laborers. So there is a question which we need to ask, how is it that Krishna is, there are so many types of living beings in this world, especially the human beings are so many. Some are very well-to-do, well-off, others are not well-to-do. In fact, the others who are not well-to-do, they also struggle so much. But still, at the end of the day, they don't earn as much as others who are not struggling so much. Something that we need to ask. So what could be the reason behind it? And that reason, of course, is given in Bhagavad Gita. It comes later on. We'll see that. So we have to understand that not just because I'm working hard, I will be always better off. No. But that doesn't mean that we don't work. We have to work. But what we have to get, ultimately, everything depends upon the Supreme Lord's decision. Karmanne vadikaraste ma paleshu. He says that work hard. Expect, you do everything, but without expectation, you do that. He explains that also in Bhagavad Gita in the 2nd chapter. So what we need to understand is not necessary that my life completely I should spend only on working hard, material activities to gain material benefits. Not necessary that you work hard, you will get the material benefits. Understand the purpose of life of a human being. Savai pumso parodharmo eto bhaktir adokshaje ahituki apratihata atma suprasidati. Bhagavad Gita, Srimad Bhagavatam is talking about. And where it is being said, the purpose of human life is to, what is the purpose of human life? What is the occupation of human life? What is the dharma of human life? Paro dharmo to bhaktir adokshate. Savai pumsam, pumsam means human beings. Savai pumsam paro dharmo, occupation. Yato bhaktir adokshate. Adokshaja, to do bhakti, to do devotional service for the Supreme Lord Adokshaja. Ahituki apratihata, without any motivation, without any interpretation. So Atma suprasidati. Atma becomes really satisfied. So our life is meant for self-realization. And for that, Krishna has given us Karma Yoga, Jnana Yoga, Bhakti Yoga, everything there. But those who are interested only in the sense gratification doing, in any activity they do, there is a lot of good karma, bad karma that comes all along with that material activities. And these good karmas, bad karmas do affect us in some way or the other, either in this life or in the subsequent life it affects us. So, what is the way to get purified from these bad karmas and all? To perform yajnas as prescribed in the Vedas. So, the most important thing we have to understand is there is some power behind us. There is somebody who is running this material world, material universe. It is not that just because we want to run this material world the way we want it, we can do it. No, we cannot do that. It is all the Lord is there behind as a background arrangement of the Supreme Lord is there, because of which this entire material world is running as per his plans. You have to understand, everything is going as per his plans. We are all simply nimitta matram, like Arjuna finally tells Krishna, I am just a nimitta matra. I am just simply a tool in your hands, O Lord Krishna. Use me the way you want to use me. This is the truth. Actually, we have to understand. Can I really bring the rain? The cyclone came. I didn't create it, but it came, right? Could I stop it? Do I have the powers to stop all these things? I don't have. First, one cyclone came and we saw it. It didn't even hit Bombay. It was just about 140 kilometers away from Bombay. And all of us saw how powerful it was, how much it was. Just imagine if it had hit Bombay, what would have happened? Similarly, after that Yas came and it hit West Bengal and Odisha. Disaster, you see, how much of loss of loss. Fortunately, there was no human loss, but material loss, tremendous, is it not? So nothing is in our hands. So it says this, if the Devatas are pleased, then they also take care of us. It is a cooperation between the nature and human beings. That's how we can live in this world happily. We have to realize it, we have to recognize it and accept it, that without the support of nature, we can't do anything. If there is no rain, from where will we get our food grains? How will we be able to get our food grains if there is no rain? Factories cannot produce it, the food grains. The food grains have to come from down under. If the earth doesn't produce the grains, what will we do? So we have to understand that. But so the various yajnas are directly aimed at the particular demigod mentioned in the Vedas. But if we are practicing Krishna consciousness and we perform the Sankirtana yajna for the satisfaction of the Supreme Lord Krishna, then automatically all the various devatas, they also get sacrificed. They also get satisfied. And what we also understand further here is that in the next verse, he says, but for one who takes pleasure in the self, whose human life is one of self-realization and who is satisfied with the self only, fully satisfied, for him there is no. So for a Krishna conscious person, there is nothing to worry, you know, in the sense that for a Krishna conscious person, when he is doing the right duty of a human being, Savai Pumsam Paro Dharmo Eto Bhaktir Adhokshachi, he is doing that right duty of a human being by simply trying to please Krishna, simply trying to satisfy the senses of Krishna. When one does that, then what happens? Automatically, the devatas also get pleased. So human being who is in Krishna consciousness is called a devotee. And what Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita later on also, Krishna says, Name Bhakta Pranashyati. He says, Kaunteya Pratijanihi Name Bhakta Pranashyati. Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, he says, oh Arjuna, declare boldly to the world, my devotees will never perish. They will be taken care of me in all ways. We read the story of Prahlad Maharaj during Narasimha Chaturdashi. We saw how Prahlad got totally protected from all sides, is it not? His own father was against him and his father wanted to kill him. and he tried several methods to kill him. Various ways he tried. The father was only getting frustrated because nothing was happening to the child, who was only 5 years old, and he was getting protection. And he asked his child, from where are you getting this courage? From where are you getting this power to protect yourself? From where are you getting this strength to protect yourself? And what does Prahlad Maharaj answer for that? He says, I'm getting the power, I'm getting the strength, I'm getting the courage from the same source from where you are also getting your power and courage and strength. And who is that source? The Supreme Lord Krishna, or Vishnu, or Narayana, whatever you call him. From him only all the power is. So people who are taken up to this Krishna consciousness, all impiety within is cleansed gradually, and they become pure and pure. And that purity gets reflected. When we become pure, the purity will definitely get reflected on our face also. And looking at us, we can make out that this man is pure. When we look at a devotee of the Lord, he need not have to even open his mouth. Just by looking at his face, from the way he is moving about, one can make out that this man is really a devotee of the Lord. He is spiritually enlightened. He is a purified soul. If you recall, in second chapter, Arjuna is asking this question: is what is the lakshana of a devotee of Krishna? He's asking Krishna. You are saying so much. What are the symptoms of a person who is your devotee? Just like rich men or learned person or powerful person have got their own style of walking, talking, etc. Similarly, the devotees also have got their own style of dressing up, their own style of walking, their own style of talking. Everything is there. So we have to also ask ourselves, what is the intelligent way of living in this world? To struggle hard, or intelligently become the devotee of the Lord, serve him nicely, so that ahayatuki apratihata atma suprasidati, so that our atma gets satisfied by serving the Supreme. The atma gets satisfied only by serving the Supreme Lord, not otherwise. That is tried and tested and proven. That is no two opinions on that. People can have different opinions, doesn't matter. But ultimately, the bottom line is, Atma is satisfied only with spiritual activities, only by connecting with Krishna. All the material activities, several material activities we can do, several material philanthropic activities we can do, still charitable activities we can do, still the Atma gets satisfied only when we do activities for Krishna. So when a person who is in this Krishna consciousness, he has got no interest in material activities, and he doesn't take any pleasure in material arrangements. So here we can see how the devotees here, they are all doing various activities. They are also doing activities, but for whose sake? For Krishna's sake, they are doing the activities. And here the 4 regulative principles what are given. The 4 regulative principles are very important, and they follow it. What are the 4 regulative principles? No meat eating, no gambling, no intoxication, and no illicit sex. And in the next 18th chapter, 18th shloka, Krishna says, a self-realized man has no purpose to fulfill in the discharge of his prescribed duties, nor has he any reason not to perform such work, nor has he any need to depend on any other living being. So he is not obliged to prescribe to do any activity. He is simply engaged in Krishna conscious activities only. Therefore, without being attached to the fruits of activities, one should act as a matter of duty, or by working without attachment, one attains the Supreme. Krishna is giving us the easiest way and the most intelligent way to make our life successful, to achieve the goal of our life. But unfortunately, the problem with human beings is most of us But most of the people in this world, they do not know what is the purpose of life, what is the goal of life. They all come, they all just live like anybody else. If we live like that, then the problem is that we will miss out the goal of our life. We'll miss out. We will not know what is the purpose of our life. And here, the purpose is being set. One should act as a matter of duty, for by working without attachment, one attains the Supreme Lord, he says. So a person who is working in Krishna consciousness, how does he do? He works under proper guidance, not whimsically. You know, Krishna is there. Oh, I also know Krishna. I should do this. I should do that. I will do this. No, not like that. There is a process given. Acharyas have given us a process to follow. Acharyas have given us the right method. And when we follow the right method given by the Acharyas, life becomes easy. If I want to become a doctor, books are available in the stores. If I go to the bookshop, I can get all the medical books also. But if I practice under a doctor, if I go to the college, medical college study, and afterwards practice under a doctor, it becomes very easy for me to know the process. What should I do if there is a problem? What should I do? How should I attend to the patients? All these things I'm able to learn simply by working under a doctor. Internship, when I do it, I get to know that. Is it not? Similarly, even in the spiritual life, even in Krishna consciousness, we are to under the proper guidance of a guru. When we work, when we learn, we understand the goal of life. And now here, same way. Similarly, here, Arjuna is what is being told is told to fight in the battle of Kurukshetra for the interest of Krishna, because Krishna wanted him to fight. Arjuna because of his personal attachment, he did not want to fight. He was trying to see how I can avoid fighting, how I can avoid the bloodshed. All these things he was thinking. No, but Krishna had a purpose. Krishna wanted to establish dharma. There was a what do you call that, atrocity committed on Draupadi. So for that, violence was required. Anyway, Krishna came and he came as a Shanti Dut, tried to explain all these factors, but Duryodhana was not willing to accept any Shanti. Krishna came as a Shanti Dut. He tried to explain, he tried to see reason with Duryodhana. Bhishma was there. Bhishma Pitama was trying to explain to Duryodhana. Dronacharya tried to explain to Duryodhana. Vidura tried to explain to Duryodhana. But Duryodhana was very adamant. He was very arrogant, thinking that I got all the powers with me. I got Bhishma, I got Drona, I got Karna. Nothing can happen. We will definitely win. But he didn't understand that Krishna was with Pandavas. So that we will see in the next class also about his life. Krishna was with Pandavas, and that one person made a big difference. So who we want in this life, actually, we should have Krishna on our side. That is very important. There may be hundreds of friends I may have, hundreds of relatives, well-wishers, everybody I may have. But if I got just one person on my side, Krishna, that's more than enough. All the 100 persons, what they can do, everything one person can do. More than what these 100 persons can do, one person. If Krishna has decided to kill somebody, nobody can protect that person. If Krishna has decided to protect somebody, nobody can kill that person. Best example, Prahlad Maharaj and Hiranyakashipu. We saw that. Gajendra and the alligator, we saw that. And the crocodile, we saw that, right? So that is that we have to understand this. So we have to see how I can get Krishna on my side, only by simply trying to, as he has explained in Bhagavad Gita, we should do our duties as a matter of fact without being attached to the fruits of our activities, and by working without attachment, simply we'll be able to attain the Supreme Lord. So a Krishna conscious person gradually learns how not to have attachment for the fruits of his actions. It doesn't come overnight. it takes time to understand this. And all this understanding comes only with chanting side by side. Please let us understand. We may hear Bhagavad Gita 100 times, 1000 times, but if we are not chanting, we will not be able to understand Bhagavad Gita in the right sense. So please, therefore, chanting is also very, very important. Side by side, we have to do. Even when you are chanting, gradually only the understanding comes. Just because I'm quite a learned person in terms of material, I got a very good qualification. I'm a PhD, I'm an engineer, I'm a doctor. So I know what I'm doing. I know how to read and understand. I'm an English professor. No, it doesn't help you to understand Bhagavad Gita. But even if I'm a illiterate, I can understand Bhagavad Gita if I'm a devotee of the Lord. So he says as next text 19, and in text 20, Krishna is saying, now he's talking of great personalities like Janaka. Kings such as Janaka attained perfection solely by performance of prescribed duties. Therefore, just for the sake of educating the people in general, you should perform your work. Now, who is Janaka Maharaj? Janaka Maharaj is the father of Sita Devi, father-in-law of Rama. If he has to be the Rama is who? None other than Krishna again. Now, if Janaka Maharaj has to become the father of Sita Devi, father-in-law of Krishna or Rama, what an exalted devotee Janaka Maharaja should be. Is it not? What he doesn't know, he knows everything, but still he, just for the sake of his praja, he was doing all the duties that was required. He did all the duties that have to be done. Why? Because just to set a good example for his praja. So when what Raja does, Yatha Raja Tata Praja. So when the Raja does all these things, automatically the subjects also, they follow the leader. Now you see, in the Kurukshetra war also, Lord Krishna, even without fighting, he could have won the war. Is it not? After all, he is Supreme Lord. He knows how to do, what to do. Everything he knows. But he wanted to teach the people in general that sometimes violence is also necessary when good arguments fail. Just like in Ramayana, Rama had to kill Ravana because Ravana committed a heinous crime of kidnapping his wife. So when the wife is kidnapped, when some what do you call that, a wrong thing is done to the queen, the king's wife, the king has to set a proper example by fighting and getting back the wife. Otherwise, what will happen for the general public? And then anyone will think that anybody can abduct anybody's wife. All these things will happen if the leader doesn't take right action. The government has to take the right action, is it not? If there is some rape activity, the rapist has to be punished. He has to be caught and he has to be given the right punishment immediately. Not drag on for years together. If it drags on and if the rapist gets parole and if he is being acquitted, then people will become bold and many people will start doing all these various things in the country. So very essential even for the Lord to set what is the right thing and what is the wrong thing. A heinous crime was committed towards Draupadi. The Lord was very angry with that. And he wanted to teach the Kauravas a lesson for them. So that's why he wanted to establish, he wanted to show to the people in general that wherever good arguments fail, wherever people do heinous crimes, yes, in that case, violence is also required. If some gundas enter into the complex and if they try to misbehave with the ladies, the females in the complex, will the males in the society keep quiet and say, no, we should not do anything, we have to call the police, then let the police come and take action, and we just keep quiet like that? or we'll try to immediately protect the ladies of the complex and take up the fight with the Gundas. We'll definitely take up the fight with the Gundas, is it not? Because we have a duty to protect the ladies, whoever it may be. We don't at that time say, talk moral grounds thing. No, no, police only will have to come and beat. We should not fight with these Gundas. We never say that. For a right cause, if there is a necessity of fighting, yes, even we must do that. So, although a Krishna conscious person may not have any interest in the world, he is not interested in women, in wine, etc. But still, wherever there is a right cause, even a devotee will fight for the right cause. And then he says, then text 21, which is again a very, very important verse. Here it says, Yaddat achariti shreshtas tat evataro janaha set pramanam kurute lokastat anuvartate. Whatever action a great man performs, common men follow. And whatever standards he sets by exemplary acts, all the world pursues. So people in general need a leader. That is fact. Whatever the leader does, the common people also follow that. So for a leader, it is very, very important to behave in a very, very responsible manner. And who are the natural leaders in this world? The parents. First of all comes the parents, who are the father and mother. They are the father, basically. He is a natural leader in a family for the children. For every child, the father is a hero, we should know. And for every child, the mother is the most beautiful person in the world. This we should know. So as a father, as a hero, he has to do the right heroic things. He should do the right things. Another person, the teacher, is a natural leader. The king, or the head of the state, he is a natural leader. Whatever he does, the people will follow. A guru is a natural leader. All these people are natural leaders. So natural leaders have got great responsibilities, especially the father and mother, to teach their children what is right, what is wrong. It's not just moral standards, not the worldly moral codes only, not the worldly moral codes, but even the spiritual codes. If the spiritual codes are taught, automatically the worldly moral codes are also immediately taught. Now there is no moral values, no moral code. I'm told, I do not know how far it is true, that the moral lessons are not given in schools. Everything has gone towards academic teachings only in schools. More of academic and less of moral teachings, values, very less. That's why we find so much of problems in this world. But if the mother and father, natural leaders, and they've got natural affection for their children, and the father and mother are very much interested in their child's welfare, in the child's happiness. So, as a natural leader, out of affection, natural affection for my child, I must teach my child how to remain happy in this world, not necessarily with the material things, but what will make my Atma happy. Ahaituki apratiyata Atma suprasidati. What will make this Atma suprasidati? Prasidati means happy. Suprasidati means greatly happy. What will please my Atma very much? When I do devotional service for Krishna, when I do things for Krishna's satisfaction, automatically my Atma will get satisfied. These teachings I must give to my child, because my child is looking up to me as a leader. The child wants a right guidance from me. The child automatically does whatever the father does, whatever the mother does. If the father is sitting and drinking at home, the child sees it and it also wants to drink. There are so many videos in circulation, right? They show even the child, they give something to, the child also takes and drinks sometimes. Why? Because it sees the father doing it, and so it doesn't think anything is wrong in that. I can also do it. But if the child is taught how to do prayers for Krishna, what is Mangalarti, what is Darshanarti, what is Sandhyarti, what is Bhogarti, what is Shayanarti, how to offer food to the Lord, how should we sit and chant the holy name of the Lord, what is taught in Bhagavad Gita. The child is too small to understand all these things. But gradually, when it is exposed to all these things, gradually, over a period of time, the child learns. Even we also learn over a period of time only everything. So when we give this opportunity to the child learns because it sees the father doing it. When it sees the father doing it, gradually it also wants to do it. So we have to understand this. Whatever action a leader does, the common men also follow. So we have got, as parents, we have got great responsibilities and we must do things what are the right things for our child's welfare. Then in next verse he says, about himself now Krishna is talking of. He says, there is no work prescribed for me within all the three planetary systems. And there is no need for me to do also. I don't need anything. Because there are so many people to do so many things. Yet I am engaged in. Krishna is full of opulence, right? We have seen that. Everything he has got. That's why he is the Supreme Lord. The 6 opulences, what we have seen. Krishna is full of that. And Krishna has got no duty to perform. Still, when we came into this world, what did he do? He as a son, every day he paid pranams to his father and mother. When he went out, because his father was a cowherd man, similarly, Krishna also became a cowherd boy, taking all the calves. He did that. Then he went to the Gurukul to learn, and Sandipani Muni was his guru, and he also paid a guru dakshina to his guru. Then as a Grahastha, he took care of his wives, and he also had children out of them. Then as a Kshatriya on the battlefield, he led the war for Arjuna, and he also showed how he protected the war. So although Krishna is above all the regulations of the scriptures, still he did not do anything against the scriptures because there is no necessity for him. No, not like that. He wanted to set a good example, hence he followed whatever was prescribed in the scriptures. And he says, because if I had failed to engage carefully in performing prescribed duties, certainly all men would follow my path. Because he's the leader, he's doing it, so automatically others would also sit and do the same thing. That's why what was done was he followed everything that was prescribed in the Vedas and in the scriptures. In text 24 he says, if I did not perform the prescribed duties, all these worlds would be put into ruination. I would also be the cause of creating unwanted population, and I would thereby destroy the peace of all living beings. Krishna says, Pitahamasya Jagato. He says, I am the father of all the living entities of this Jagat. I am the father. Pitahamasya Jagato, Mata, Data, Pitamaha. So he has got as a father of all living entities, he has got a duty of guiding them on the right path. So he did all those things, and he knew also that whatever, if he disregards any of the scriptural injunctions, people will think that it's a license for them also to disregard injunctions. But if he does everything correctly, people will follow his footsteps and they will also do it. But we should know, we must not try to imitate the Lord, but we have to follow in the footsteps. This is what has been said in Bhagavatam also. In many places it says, follow the footsteps of the Supreme Lord, follow the footsteps of the devotees to attain the spiritual success. If you want to become spiritually successful, we have to simply follow in the footsteps of the great devotees. That will make our life successful. Next verse, he says, as the ignorant man performs their duties with attachment to results, similarly learned may also act, but without attachment, for the sake of leading people on the right. So if you have to see this picture, an ignorant man, he is going to the supermarket, he is taking so many things available for material satisfaction. He is taking all those things because he thinks all these things will give him happiness. He takes it. And here is a Krishna conscious person. What he is doing? He is also buying something. He is also in the supermarket buying so many things. But he is seeing what will satisfy Krishna. And he wants to buy things for Krishna's satisfaction. This is the difference between a non-devotee and a devotee, between a non-Krishna conscious person and a Krishna conscious. Both of them are in the supermarket. Both of them are doing activities in the material world, but one is doing for his personal satisfaction and another is doing for Krishna's satisfaction. And the last verse of the day, he says, so as not to disrupt the minds of the ignorant when attached to the fruitive results of prescribed duties, a learned person should not induce them to stop the work. Rather, by working in the spirit of devotion, you should engage them in all sorts of activities for the gradual development of Krishna consciousness. So gradually, whenever anybody is doing their job, activities, they have to perform the activities. And they have to also perform whatever sacrifices, all these things have to be done as prescribed in the Vedas to come out of the karmas, various karmas, they have to come out. So those prescriptions are given. Let them do that. Gradually they will progress and come to Krishna consciousness. And for them, whenever we see them, we must also try to give this knowledge of Krishna consciousness, but not thrust upon them. Gradually give them that knowledge. As we keep on giving that knowledge, gradually people will learn and people will know what is the real purpose of life and make their life also successful. Our objective, Krishna consciousness, our objective is what? The Krishna's devotees' objective is to share Krishna consciousness with everyone so that everyone can live happily in this world. That is the thing. Distribute happiness to everybody. Let everyone live happily. Let everyone live peacefully in this world. And peace comes only when we relate ourselves with Krishna, not with material activities, not with material possessions, the peace or happiness. So this is the basic things of what we learned today. So in conclusion, the basic thing we have to understand is the purpose of life is to simply serve Krishna. Savai pumsam paro dharmo eto bhaktir adhokshaje. This is the thing. Our dharma is to simply do devotional service for the Supreme Lord and thereby live peacefully in this world. We will do all the activities like we should do, whatever we should do in this universe, but learn to do it without attachment to that activity. And those who are not in these activities, not in Krishna conscious activities, they have to, for them also, prescription is given in the Vedas, and that is to do various yajnas, sacrifices for the satisfaction of the various demigods. And if we do activities for Krishna, automatically all the demigods also get satisfied. So with this, I will stop the class for the day. If people have got any questions, please feel free to ask the questions. You can put it on the chat box also. You can write on the chat box also. Any questions or comments on today's class?
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Guruji, you talked about the symptom of a devotee.
Yeah.
How you recognize a devotee. So,
yeah, we studied that in the second chapter, no? Yeah. Please.
Today also you touched upon it. So can you throw some more light really as to what are the lakshanas that you can recognize a pure devotee?
Yeah. There are two things. One is a pure devotee and another is a devotee who is on the path, you know. So a pure devotee is simply is interested only in Krishna consciousness. He talks about Krishna, he breathes Krishna, everything he does is for Krishna's satisfaction. And he is also interested in others also becoming Krishna conscious. Why? because he realizes everybody is a child of God. All of us are children of God, you know. And as children of God, we have got our original home is Goloka Vrindavana, from where we have come. And he is interested everyone attaining Krishna, going back to Krishna, so that one can live peacefully, happily, wherever he is. So one of the lakshanas is talking of Krishna always. He is breathing Krishna. Another thing is he wants everyone to become Krishna conscious. He wants everyone to become Krishna conscious. He wants everyone to live happily in this world. He wants everyone to live peacefully in this world. There's a second thing that he's interested in. And third, he's not interested in anything that is material. He can understand all these material things, whatever is there, they are only diversions. They are only distractions for our Krishna consciousness. Am I clear, Prabhu?
Thank you, Prabhu.
Next.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
Sorry, I was a little distracted today. My parents are a little restless, and so I have not been able to follow it very continuously. But I will go through this portion again, and I will definitely post the questions on the group once I've gone through this again. I'm sorry I couldn't be
I'll be posting my video again. After a day or two, I'll be posting my this whatever we have talked today. This is also recorded. So I'll be posting it in the I'll be posting it in my channel, and I also post it in the group. You can go through my video.
Sure, sure.
You can listen to the video and then you can ask whatever questions.
Sorry, I had to go in and out too many times. I was losing the link a little bit. I will definitely watch.
Yeah, it doesn't matter, Mataji, because all of us, we are following the right thing, what Krishna did. Krishna also took care of his parents. So now we are also taking care of your parents. That's a wonderful thing.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Okay. So Sashikant, he has asked one. He says, due to power outage, suddenly due to rain, I couldn't listen your full session after joining. Could just see only slides, no voice. So same thing, Sashikant Prabhu. You can also, I'll post this video. You can go through that. Yeah. So if there are no questions, then in that case, we'll wind up the class for the day. Thank you very much to all of you for attending and giving me an opportunity to talk to you about Krishna consciousness. Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. Maharaj ki Jai.
Jai.
Bhagavad Gita Grantaraj ki Jai.
Jai. Thank you, Prabhu.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Hare Krishna. Thank you, Hare Krishna.